Oh, believe me, I am as shocked as you are right now, and surprised. Normally, I don't do reviews like emergency reviews or something that I have to just talk about right after watching it, unless it's something that I genuinely enjoyed that much. I wasn't expecting to. But this is actually one of those cases. Let's talk about it. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a retelling of the 2005 movie with the same name. That movie is somewhat iconic in pop culture at this point with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. It gets a lot of love, and it was the movie that basically started their relationship at the time. And it's a film that a lot of people have gone back to since. It's one of those great action romance comedy movies that's of the 2000s, and it's still watched a lot to this day. So to be able to take that and to try something new with it immediately is gonna raise a lot of questions. In this version, we follow Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, and they already know that they're spies. They're already working together and making sure that the mission is done in the best way possible, and not necessarily having to go through that whole plot line again, like the movie did. Then that way it completely abandons that plot. I feel like I need to start off with saying that because a lot of people are gonna go into this with, but they already did it well in the movie. This is not the movie. They are completely different things. What this is doing is following a totally different storyline. And eventually you see that relationship that the two of them are pretending to be in become more and more real with each passing episode. And then it eventually leads to a lot more drama and conflict. And like I said, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this show, but I will paraphrase a friend of mine here when I say I owe this show an apology. I was not familiar with its game. I genuinely enjoyed the hell out of this show. I watched it in about 2 sittings. I watched the first half of it in one go, and then I watched the second half of it after like a 25-minute break. I couldn't stop watching this. And I know that that sounds, again, crazy. Like, really, they did this good? I was skeptical. I have to make this clear. I have not been happier to be proven wrong in a long time. Donald Glover and Maya Erskine are fantastic in this show. And again, this is a chemistry thing. Much like Pitt and Jolie, you need to have these two be believable enough for any of this to work. And I think they absolutely crushed it in that department. They are very believable as a couple. And as, again, the episodes progress and that love for them, grows more and more, it becomes much more, complex, and you need that connection to be as strong as it can be. And I would say that they absolutely nailed it. I mean, they have done an outstanding job in that department. According to Glover, they didn't really have a chemistry read. They just kind of started talking and took it from there. But I mean, it seems so organic at points in the show. Like, there's this really great scene where there's a conversation happening while they're in bed. It's it's so natural. Like, it really felt like, these two people who've been like married for years are having this conversation about, like what a day it's been. The way it's directed and the dialogue that is around it is also really great. Very snappy and very quick and efficient stuff that keeps you on your toes throughout. Some of the episodes have some pacing lulls where it takes a while for things to build, but there is an eventual payoff to them that is effective. Like, there's a couple of episodes that you'll see where the first 10-15 minutes go by and you're like, wow, nothing's really happening here. Like, I mean, can we pick it up a little bit? But eventually when it does, it's like it makes all of those things make a little more sense. The action is also really fun. It's got its very big elevated moments, but it also has its smaller action moments. But a couple of them are outstanding. There's a massive extended thing that's going on closer to, the end of the season when things are building up immensely, and it's so well done, masterfully directed, that particular bit as well. And it's genuinely, I had so much fun with some of those sequences. They were very well done. It also has a really good score. Like, it is actually a very thunderous and very euphoric score at times, and a great soundtrack to go with it as well. Really, there weren't too many complaints I had with it. There's also lots of cameos with the supporting characters. You'll see actors, some of them very famous ones, pop up maybe for like a couple of minutes or maybe a slightly longer time. Those were really fun moments as well. Like you'll see a couple of actors and go, huh, you're in this. And it's just for a few minutes, like a really quick thing. But it's just nice that, they got an opportunity to have a moment in the show as well. What I also really love about the show is that every episode, with every mission, it's a new hurdle in the relationship. It's a new step. So the first couple of episodes, they're trying to build up trust among each other, and eventually they start to fall more in love. And then as it progresses, the next episode after that is dealing with some rifts, some complications. It's like, I like this, I like that. They're again bickering pretend couple, but they're more and more real by the second. And then there's an episode where they're having so many issues that as they're on this mission together and they're in a safe house, they're talking about having a family. And it's like, wait, well, hold on. Do I want a family? And it becomes so realistic, and they write that in so well. And yet it keeps the momentum of the show going. It never loses that. I was constantly surprised by how they were able to pull all of those off. Now, granted, I don't think the show will work for everybody, because in some cases, maybe you don't like the way they direct things or the humor or stuff like that. But there are going to be some very common complaints like, but this is already a movie. They did a good job. Why is there another one? I don't want this one. This is not the version I was, interested in. It's not my Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I would say, quick suggestion, completely forget that. Your Mr. and Mrs. Smith is still intact. This is not even close to that version. It's a completely different thing. I would suggest maybe giving it a chance. If it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. But I think if you gave it a little time, I think if you tried to not think about it as what would Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie do, for instance, don't do that. Try to just watch this show as Donald Glover and Maya Erskine's journey, not think about the fact that there was something else that did it before. Because again, it's not trying to do the same thing. It's a completely different thing. It's not like, adapting something which is already, got a certain amount of source material to work with. There are some issues that I do have with it. It does take a little bit to, pick up a little. And there are some episodes which are not as well paced as others. Sometimes it goes through those lulls. I mentioned it, there are payoffs in some of them, but talking about a few other ones that are there in the middle that can sometimes take a while. There's a couple of narrative structuring things where I feel that it could have been slightly different when it comes to the execution of those. Sometimes you're thrown into certain things which I feel like it could have had a little bit more of a build up to them, maybe. That's just my 2 cents on that. But overall, as I was done watching season 1 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I hope that they do another one, I was very happy. I was very satisfied with how the show progressed and how the season concluded. I'm curious to hear how people have react to that one. But I think that this is one of the big surprises. In fact, I would say it's the first big surprise of 2024 for me. I had an actual blast with this thing, and I hope you guys give it a shot as well. I'm going to give Mr. and Mrs. Smith Season 1 an A-. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. I know I didn't expect to be doing this video either, but I'm kind of glad I did. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe and enjoy the show. What else can I say about it?